Why do you have a coffee and a Stella?
Because it's important to cover all your bases.
Doesn't one, like, counteract the other?
Maybe.
No. It's like having Red Bull with vodka.
Yeah.
That's a thing?
It is a thing.
Get out of town. Oh, go on.
Speaking of beverages, this icebreaker, or the newly rephrased, "Oh man, what a good question," is brought to you by Mason Kramer, twitch.tv/glitchcat7. Oh man, what a good question. What are the 3 things you guys want to do while we're in Vegas? Ideally that we can film and turn into a segment. Go.
Nothing.
All right, that's one for Jay.
Exactly what I want to do, dude. And I texted it to you, and I said, you don't want to do this, I know, but I'm going to say it anyway. You didn't respond back, so I think it might happen. Boys, GamerCast, tattoos. The 3 of us.
I won't lie, I actually had that thought too.
It doesn't have to be GamerCast or Nintendo Quest, but I think we should all get tattoos like in the same afternoon.
I don't care about you guys that much, I'm sorry. I'll be completely honest. I don't really want to be linked, pun intended, to you guys forever. I'm already erasing future editions of Nintendo Quest, so it says by David McAlew instead.
Okay, so what do you think, Rob? I haven't got an answer on that.
No. No.
All right.
The answer is no, Jay.
You and me, buddy.
The answer is no.
You don't have any tattoos, right, Rob?
And I don't plan on getting. I don't need that physical token of the experience. Just the memory of doing it is enough for me.
But it doesn't exist if you don't have that physical.
And it won't exist because I don't want one.
Reverse roles here.
No, Maya doesn't have any tattoos, and you know how long I've been talking about getting a tattoo for, and it sounds like she's probably going to have one before I do now.
Well, guess what? Power Tour 2 is coming, and you can have a tattoo.
You guys would really want GamerCast tattoos or Nintendo?
No,
I wouldn't want.
That's not what I said.
No.
You guys, listen, you
change
guys
that
know
diaper.
that if you wanted GamerCast tattoos, I'd absolutely be the first in line. But I'm just saying that the 3 of us,
But now that you mentioned
doing
it,
tattoos together in a segment, I think would be kick-ass.
I wouldn't want like an actual GamerCast tattoo. Like I don't want the logo
you're
tattoo
God,
on me
no.
or something.
God no, I definitely would not want anything permanently on my body that says this show. God.
I wouldn't want anything permanently on my body that says any show. I'm not a fan of tattoos that are like, the Pepsi logo on your body or something.
I saw how you
weird.
examined me before you said that carefully. Like, I don't want to offend Jay, but let me look at.
Well, this is a conversation Jay and I have been having for years about what tattoo would I ever ultimately get if I ever ultimately decided that I wanted a tattoo, since he has taken the plunge into tattoos. And at first it was He-Man and She-Ra swords or Grayskull and Snake Mountain. And then I thought, well, it'd be cool to get all the titles of the films I make, as like a sleeve and like incorporate designs to that. But it's just not going to happen. I just don't think it's going to happen.
Okay.
I'll get a tattoo the day that Bartlon gets
And what
on a
about
plane
music?
and
no,
flies.
No
That's
kind
what I
of
would
music,
do.
like bands or anything, like band logos or anything like that?
No.
Okay, so that's my answer. Glenn, what is your answer?
It's a really long answer.
Yeah, it was.
I'm writing these down, by the way, because this is my way of brainstorming for the upcoming tour in Vegas.
2 birds with 1 bullet.
I
Okay,
want to go. I want to go to Hoover Dam so that we can uncover the secret government Transformers industrial complex.
It's on my list, and I was there when they filmed that. Did I tell you that, Stan Buck?
I don't think you did.
Yeah, I was there when they filmed
Hoover
that
Dam's
scene.
cool.
And
Hoover Dam's really
somewhere,
impressive.
I have a picture of me behind Michael Bay's director's chair for those shots that they were doing on Hoover Dam.
That's cool.
That explains everything.
Yeah, security didn't like it.
Okay, so you want to go to Hoover Dam, tourist boy?
What else? Quick, 2 other things that you guys can think of that we can possibly
it's your
turn
go
into
now.
segments.
We just did one.
No, I have my
okay.
list. And I'm not spoiling it.
Atomic History Museum or Atomic Energy Museum.
Jay is so bored by that idea.
He's telling, let's go see where they make bombs or whatever. I'm like, that's the most boring thing I can ever think of in my lunch.
They don't make bombs there.
Oh, instead of someone stabbing you with a colored needle
That's
over
like
and over and over again.
Hey,
That sounds
That's
full
like
of
saying they make
excitement.
dinosaurs at the Royal Ontario Museum.
The actor?
Welcome welcome to another GamerCast. I'm Rob McCallum, joined by Glenn Stanway, Jay Bartlett. Jay, get to the story you want to tell.
I'm not. No, I won't do that. I'm not. I won't.
You
call
won't do
any
it.
bands. No way. No.
You guys shot a music video
Hey,
for your tribute.
Are
Child
you
of Queen.
proud of me? I directed the shoot. Rob, are you proud of me?
I want to see what this looks like. I'm curious. That's not a knock. That's not pressure.
why don't you explain what we did this afternoon,
Yeah,
just so people
yeah.
kind of understand?
So my dear friend here, Glenn, filled in for us for my band Rocket Queen, which is a Guns N' Roses tribute. He filled in on bass because we have an absence right now, and we're doing a promo video because in the tribute band scene, you can't just apply for gigs. You have to show them a video because they want to make sure you're the real deal. You look like them. You sound like them. Blah blah blah. So we shot a video this afternoon. And where was I going with this?
You were setting up what you guys were doing.
That is where you were going with that.
And then what?
And then what?
Oh yeah,
And that's
oh
it.
yeah.
So
then
how'd it go?
I picked
Director?
up Ryan, who again another dear friend of ours, who shot a lot of the Power Tour stuff, and I got to direct him. And Rob, my terminology is amazing because I'm like, okay. So what I'm going to do, I want to have the single interviews at the beginning. I'm just going to stand behind you, Ryan. I'm going to ask the guys one at a time, why do you love Guns N' Roses? And I said, I want the head on the right and the big space on the left. You know, like Nintendo Quest. And he's laughing his ass off. I'm like, you know, like the documentary shots. He's like, yeah, I know. So I got to do that. And we had a...
If only there was footage of that.
Yeah, we had a sweet intro, dude, where we were upstairs and they called us down. The lights were off and the Terminator 2 theme played and it was all black before we came on. And Ryan like followed us behind. It was cool, dude. It was really cool. It was fun, man. It was a lot of fun. Did you enjoy yourself, Prickridge?
I had a really good time. Yeah, it was super fun. It was
Duff
Stanbuck, Stanbuck McKagan.
Yeah, you did really good.
Duff McStanbuck. I had a really good time. It was a little bit nerve-wracking because I basically had like a week and a half to try and learn these 5 songs and feel comfortable playing them, and I'd never played any of them on bass before, and I think I assumed it was going to be a little bit easier than it was, and it totally wasn't. But it was really fun, man, and I was pretty proud of particularly of how well I had Welcome to the Jungle down by the time we played it.
We did 2 takes on the sets, and it was just cool. So Joe, Ryan, Jeremy, and Glenn, you guys rock. So Rocket Queen, we're coming soon. There's my promo. Done.
So how do we get Jay to direct something while you guys are in Vegas, just so we can experience that? Why
Seems
are you
pretty
laughing,
easy to
Glenn?
me,
I'm being
yeah.
serious
Hey
about
man, you may laugh now, but it turned out great, and it was really cool.
Whoa. Is it cut already?
No, not yet. No.
Because half of directing is, shaping that edit.
Well, hey, you know what? I'll say it's a good start. Discourage or.
Do we need to get Jay to do a Power Tour style like hotel room segment with
Infomercial.
Stanbuck and McAloo?
Yeah,
I
we
could do
need.
that.
I'm putting that on my list. Power Tour infomercial.
Okay, there you go. All directed by River Bartlon.
I'm excited. I want to see Raging Rocket Queen.
Raging Queen. Raging Guts.
That's what I was gonna say. I was gonna say Raging Queen. All right, what other housekeeping do we got? Of course, the Twitch screening of Nintendo Quest happening April 24th. It's a Sunday, 12, 2, and 4 on twitch.tv/glitchcat7. Nintendo Quest is now on Hulu, and I want to thank everybody for all the kind comments, for those of you that are just getting around to discovering it, or those of you that are going to play it and depositing literally about 2 pennies in our pockets. Hey, we'll take it. Also a reminder that Box Art Kickstarter starts April 19th. It's a Tuesday. We have over 100 participants on board for that, so that's going to be a lot of fun. Galaxy Far, Far Away is still blazing new trails at light speed through the galaxy on Podbean.
We are, with our new episode, which is entitled Han Solo.
Ham Solo.
And it's, part 1. So, guys, check it out. It was a lot of fun recording that one.
And Glenn, you've been holding down the fort at Tiny Titan as our good buddy Jeff has been at GDC.
He has been. So, yeah, Jeff was in San Francisco at Game Developers Conference this past week trying to make some connections and meeting a few people who have been very, very important in our development as a studio. And I I was all alone running the studio with the guys while he was gone. That was kind of intense.
Whoa. Where was Donnie?
Donnie was in San Francisco.
Over there?
Over there.
Why didn't he come over here?
Because he had to go over there.
Get out of here.
Marco had another letter, but I got it. It's in my email somewhere, so I can't pull it up right now. He'll have to wait till next show.
Hey, look, here's all I got to say to Marco. You're coming to Vegas, great. If not, get the hell out of here.
Yeah. It's all good. So, any other housekeeping, guys? I can't think of anything.
Oh, one more. I am this close.
He's holding his fingers really close together
I'm
for everybody that isn't watching this radio.
This close
podcast.
to getting our good friend Todd Curtis to join us in Vegas. I'm this close.
Oh.
So, fingers crossed, it's going to happen. So, Todd, come on. So close, buddy. So close.
Todd's thinking about coming out to Vegas for what? Like level up and stuff, or what?
Just to hang out with the boys and be on whatever we're shooting and have a good time, yeah. So, we're trying. We're trying to get him out here.
Cool. Sounds great. Yeah. What are we talking about today?
So, guys, this evening we are going to be doing something I call gaming by the numbers. So, we've done some grab bag episodes before, and this is definitely going to be a bit of a grab bag one, but this is going to be based around some numbers that I found while I was doing some research, and I thought were kind of interesting. So, just looking at certain numbers or statistics in the game industry and just talking about the topics that are related to that.
Talking about the topics?
Talking about the topics. Some of these numbers I think I'm going to have you guys guess, and then other ones I'm probably going to give you a little more insight into what they are. This first one, though, I'm going to put this at Jay specifically because this one's a little more relevant to the two of us. And the first number I'm going to give you is $79.99. Can you tell me what that number is in reference to, Mr. Jay Bartlett?
Unfortunately, right now, that is in reference to a new release title in Canada, where our dollar is absolutely terrible.
That is the manufacturer's suggested retail price of your average new release video game title in the country of Canada.
$79. That's so with Canadian sales tax, which is 13%, that comes to $90.39 for a game.
So my question to you, stemming from that number, guys, is this question, and this is a broad question for you, Rob.
Thank you.
Is video gaming too expensive? Is that too much to pay for a video game?
I don't know. From where I sit at $59.99, a game is pretty nice for me.
No.
And let's be honest, that price is what it is right now. Historically, in Canada, at one point it was $109.99, unless you had a family that traveled to Michigan or Florida.
So let me rephrase that then. And I mean, you can even look at it from the perspective of being $59.99 for you, Rob. How much is too much for a video game? Like, at what point is it just too much to ask somebody to pay that?
Well, it's supply and demand, right? I mean, and you could take this back to collecting. Is a retro game, is an NES game worth paying $80 for, even though it's not new? So it all depends on what the market has been established. Now, I think these things become a lot more noticeable when there are obviously price increases and decreases, whether it's a console in year 3 dropping $50 or $100, or an increase because of currency exchange jumping up. Was it 69 before in Canada, or was it 65?
No.
Was it ever 60?
No, it's 59.
So it was on par.
Yeah,
It was on par for a very long time, yeah.
Going back to the 90s when we used to buy the N64 carts, the number of megs supposedly was the reason why the price was so high. Like stuff like, wrestling, like No Mercy was $89. And even going earlier to that, like Phantasy Star 2 was like $129.
Yeah,
Neo Geo stuff.
Yeah, Geo
I
stuff's
remember
crazy.
you'd buy a new N64 cartridge. I remember when I bought Super Mario 64 when the console launched and I got mine. And it was like $89.99 Canadian. And you could not get a Nintendo 64 game for less than $90 Canadian. What I guess I'm getting at, though, is this is like, we're talking about when I was in college, right? So the market has sort of established a different price now at this point in time. And we got told that that was because of, there were cartridges and they were more expensive to manufacture and all this other stuff. And we're now in this point of time where we have all this digital content available, and things like marketing or materials for cases and stuff like that aren't a concern. So I guess my question is, why are we still paying that much for video games?
I guess what concerns me is when I see a digital title priced for X dollars and the physical one priced for the exact same amount. That's curious to me, right? Like, why would NHL 16 be $49.99 for digital and or disc? You know, if there's going to be costs going into that, don't you think the digital one should be cheaper? You would think that they would offer that kind of price break. Or don't you think they should price the physical one at $55 or something?
I tend to think that too, Rob. And I guess I will say in defense of that concept, you do see a lot of PlayStation sales and Xbox sales and things like that are revolved around those digital copies of that, right? Like I remember when Star Wars Battlefront came out, I bought a digital copy of it like the week after it came out, and by the next week it was already on sale on Xbox Live. Yeah. And that's something you tend to not see happen quite so quickly on the physical side.
Yeah, I mean, it's the same thing for movies, right? Like when Nintendo Quest came out digitally, it was marked anywhere from $9.99 to $14.99 depending on the vendor. And all that's set by our distributor, of course, with the deals that they have through people. And iTunes, for example, doesn't want anything that's less than 6 months old being priced less than $14.99. So on iTunes, Nintendo Quest is $14.99, but on Vimeo, it's $9.99. Now, if you want Nintendo Quest on DVD, it's $20. And that's not going to move unless we, take a hit and bring discs to a convention ourselves and hope that we can make up the difference in volume. So, I mean, I get it. I would never think that it would be a good sales strategy to market the physical and digital at the same cost, because unless you're making that much more on digital purchases, which it would be interesting to see those numbers, taking a game and looking at how many digital units are moved versus physical ones and seeing where the profit share is actually hitting.
So getting back to what you said, do I think that it's too expensive now? No. I don't think you can put a dollar price on entertainment. If you love it and you're passionate about it, I don't know, Rob and I have always said that money's not really the issue. I mean, if a game brings you that much enjoyment, it's worth paying the money for.
Is it really just sort of an issue of like what the market supports? And in that sense, is that kind of like movies too, Rob? Because obviously it's more expensive to see a movie now.
You have to understand that all three of us have been there since the beginning. I've seen games for $129. I've seen Neo Geo cards for $300. I've seen games for $59, $69, $79. So for me, it's just like a fluctuation. It's like, okay, now I have to pay this. It's not really a big deal to me.
Sure. Here's a couple factors to consider, though, right? So one thing that we've talked about before and discussed is the length of games and the quality of games we're getting. Some games are being broken upon shipping. You have to get DLC for it to work. And the games are either shorter or they're way too long. So that's going to affect dollars per hours of enjoyment. Now, the second thing to consider is if you have a budget of, say, $400 a month that you can only spend, and all of a sudden the price of games have increased by $20, ultimately that's less games that you're going to get. You're going to get like 5 games at $40 or at $80 each if you have a $400 budget instead of like 6 or 7.
Yeah, I mean,
it's going to be less games, and with new games coming out every single week, some games are going to get left behind.
I totally agree with you. But I mean, video games have always been an expensive hobby, right? I mean, that's kind of just, I think you kind of know that going into it, right? I don't know. You just have to be a little bit more selective. But is there really like that many games each month nowadays anyway that you have to really...
There are. I find
Really?
There's tons. I mean, how many games are in your backlog? Tons, right? We all have games in our backlog that we can't play to their full extent.
True.
As part of the prep for this episode, I actually was trying to find a full list of every game that was released last year. And I tried to get like a number that I could throw at you guys, and I stopped counting. Just to give you some sense of how much stuff is coming out now. It's more than 4, believe it, yeah.
Maybe greater than 6.
Possibly. More than 10. So I threw that one at Jay. Rob, I'm going to throw this one at you, and I want you to tell me if you can figure out what this number is in reference to. Okay. This number is quite a lot larger. 23.5 billion.
The number of gamers in North America?
Incorrect.
in the world.
Also incorrect.
The amount of time zones or pieces of bacon you ate this morning.
You got it.
You got it.
I didn't eat bacon this morning. That is
Lies.
That is the global video game revenue for 2015.
Whoa.
$23.5 billion.
Okay.
That is up 5% from 2014. And just thinking about that number and thinking about some of the things we've talked about on this show in the last several weeks, what do you think that says about the game industry and the health of the video game industry?
I think a 5% increase, some business analysts would say, is a decline. I think most people want a healthy growth of at least 10% every year.
I think it's good. Any increase is good.
I would like to see what the increase was between last year and the year before, or even the year before that when the new consoles launched. Those would be interesting numbers to see if they've stagnated because there's a lack of hardware being bought because we are deeper into the cycle.
That is exactly what I was about to get to, and that is that those numbers are not looked upon as being as large as they could be because hardware sales have just not been at the level
Do you want
that
to
would
know
have been expected.
Why that is, in my opinion?
I am sure you're going to tell us.
This generation is just not very exciting.
Well, Jay, the good thing for you, I hope you're sitting down. For everybody that can't see this, they are sitting down. Sony just announced a PlayStation 4.5 that supports 4K resolution. Are you excited? And a PlayStation VR bundle. Are you excited? More hardware. And Xbox, Phil Spencer has said they are not throwing out the idea of doing a mid-console reissue.
So we are, in fact, in a PC era here. So it's pretty much upgrades like a computer. I just think if you look back at the 360 and the PS3, there was really a lot of monumental titles and excitement. We're in the third year of this current gen, and I'm just speaking for me here. There's been nothing that's been like, wow, this is exciting. Do you guys agree? Do you guys agree with that?
I'm still playing stuff from last gen on like PS3 and stuff.
So yeah, but
what does
you're
that say,
aware
right?
of what's going on in the trailers and everything that's
You
happening.
are aware that there is a PS4, Mr. Macaloo. You are aware that they are releasing software titles for that Macaloo. Rob, are you cross-examining yourself? Yes, I am, Mr. Macaloo.
Yeah, I see.
Why do you want to see the
The
storage
containment facility, Dr. Rickman.
Why do you want to see the storage
Because I'm curious.
How's the grid holding up? Tell him about the Twinkie.
What about the Twinkie? What?
Just had a visit from the EPA. How's the grid holding up? What? We're on loop.
So, I literally don't know what we're talking about.
Okay, so here to answer the question in the scenario that you posited.
Oh yeah, do you think it's as exciting as it was last gen?
No, because I think everybody's focusing on the Razer instead of the Razer blades. They're still really concerned with this technological arms race of who can have the better specs instead of worrying about the content that goes for them.
I don't agree.
I do. 100% I do.
I,
There's not enough games. There's too much focus on what that hardware
I don't
is
think there's a
and what it
focus
can
on
do.
the hardware. I think I agree with you on the lack of focus on games.
This is the first time that they've announced a mid-cycle hardware upgrade for a console.
Yeah, but I don't care about that. I care about games.
But they do.
And I'm not seeing
And that's
any
the
games.
point. That's the point. They're focusing on the hardware instead of the game.
Yeah, but that's still the developers are still having to create games regardless of what they're doing hardware wise. And what I'm seeing from developers, I'm just saying, is not exciting to me. I'm seeing sequel 5, sequel 4, sequel 10 of this title. It's like, okay.
But it's a loop. It's one thing isn't without the other. It's a symbiosis, right? So when Sony says to everybody, probably a year ago, hey, we need VR support because that's the hardware we want to push. We want to have 250 titles exclusively on PlayStation VR. Hey guys, we'll give you a break and maybe distribution deal. It's like 3% if you give us something that outputs at 4K. Now hardware begins to dictate what software is.
Okay, I get you now. And I gotta tell you guys, I am the last person in line for any of these VR units. I think they are this is me saying it. I think they're a terrible mistake, and I think it's just pushing us away from reality even further and away from being together in the room playing games. It's just, how much more can you isolate yourself from something?
I want the PlayStation Pod that comes out in 2 years from now.
You
where
guys-
you're stuck in a porta potty phone booth.
You guys are completely ruining my outline. There are a couple things related to the.
Good thing we're keeping that 8-minute intro.
Yeah, good thing. There are a couple things regarding this topic that I wanted to touch on, and they're both things that you've touched on already. So, Rob, you were talking about Sony talking about releasing a 4K resolution compatible PlayStation 4. Jay, you touched on this already too. I think Rob did as well. But Phil Spencer's hinted that he sees the future of console development being more of a modular thing, more similar to PCs, where you have a box and that box sort of gets upgraded or expanded. The other thing I wanted to ask you about, which you didn't touch on, is have you guys heard this news this past week about Microsoft basically building the infrastructure so that developers can make their games support multi-platform play? So that you could theoretically have PS4 and Xbox players playing together.
I've heard about the cross multiplayer play, yeah.
And what do you think of that? Like, obviously,
it's
there's
great.
it's not just the gates are going to be open or whatever. Developers have to do it. Sony's got to be on board with it too. But like, what do you guys think of that?
I think it's great. I really do. I think it's awesome. Just so we can finally play with Vegas Rob.
I'm good. I feel like there's a downside to it, and I don't know what that is yet.
You just had to say the opposite of what I said.
No, I feel like it. I don't know. It feels like I don't know if it's just too easy or something. Like, if I can play Call of Duty on my Wii U with you guys, then great. But are we going to get to a point where it's like, you're playing against people on a PC with the keyboard and mouse, and they're just better because of the response control. So everybody on an Xbox One that has the Elite controller will always dominate everybody on a PlayStation 4. So it's as cool as it is to crossplay, you'll never win because of the input devices available. Or everybody with a Wii U will have that tactical map.
I think if you're going to do something of that magnitude, there'll be balance issues that they will work out. I don't think there'll be any kind of, PC player will be better than...
In fairness too, you can get pro gaming controllers to the PS4, right? Like, there isn't an official Sony one.
Sure.
But there's stuff like SCUF gaming pads for both platforms, right? So I mean, there are people out there right now who have controllers that are not the stock controllers.
Let me guys ask you this something or thing. Let me ask you guys this. Do you think that cross-play, assuming Nintendo does sign on board and helps them with third-party support, do you think that would help their sales? Because then people will go, hey, I can play these games with all my other friends when the third-party titles are on this, and I get all the Nintendo exclusive titles that are only on Nintendo. Versus Microsoft and Sony essentially always having the same library, save 5 franchises.
No.
You don't think it'll help Nintendo sales?
No. I think they've established what they are, and they made it quite clear of what they are, and I think they should stick to what they are. I don't think they should be dipping their toes in Call of Duty and all that stuff now, because they've abandoned all that. They stopped all third-party support this last console. Now you can't just dump stuff and pick it up and dump it and pick it up again. It's like, okay, you don't...
Sure you can.
I don't think you can.
Sure you can.
And,
why can't you?
Well, first of all...
You don't think Final Fantasy VII coming to the remake or whatever coming to the next Nintendo console would be a big deal for Nintendo
First of
fans?
all, you have to have the hardware on the same level as the other big boys, and they don't. They're a gen behind.
For Wii U, but if the NX comes out and is cross-play...
And then PlayStation and Xbox will be just one above. They'll always be above. That's just the way it is.
Apparently,
right?
right now, the rumored specs, and this is all conjecture, for the NX is supposedly on par with the Xbox One.
I think the way that may be okay. That's cool, but I just think the way that Nintendo has done their online stuff, and it's so cumbersome and so it's just not friendly. I don't think there's going to be the hardcore gamer rushing out to buy the NX to play Call of Duty Ghost 10. They're going to buy an Xbox or a PlayStation.
You bring up an interesting point, though, right? And we saw this with other multiplayer titles, even within the same manufacturing environment. If you want to play Call of Duty on PS3, you're stuck playing that version with the other PS3 players, which is different than the PS4 release.
Right.
And I think you guys remember like the screenshots comparing what an office environment looked like on one versus the other, and it was just ugh. So I guess the question to the crossplay add-on would be, how in sync are these generation upgrades going to be with one another, manufacturer to manufacturer? You know, we saw PS4 and Xbox One, I think within a window of, 90 days, they were both released. But then you have the Wii U that came out 2 years before and will probably upgrade before the other one. So then is the Wii U crossplay only going to be, or the NX crossplay really going to only last as long as the PS4 and Xbox Ones are around? So that window is narrowed, right?
My belief is that it's up to Nintendo to keep up with them. Nintendo was always chose to be below graphically, hardware-wise, what the other two competitors are. So it's up to them to keep up to Microsoft and Xbox at this point.
But the funny thing about that statement is it goes against what you and I were both saying about the importance of hardware specs versus games.
No, we're talking about cross gaming play now. That's all I'm saying.
But
if they want to
you see how they're tied together, though, right?
Yeah, but
to have a better game experience, you need the hardware to support it.
Yeah, but I will never buy a Nintendo system to play Call of Duty or whatever online game. That will never happen because their online has been so terrible from the very, very beginning and has not improved. So I'm good. I'm going to go on Xbox where it's really easy. I'm going to go on PlayStation where it's easy and just do it that way. Simple as that.
Got a couple of other numbers to introduce into the conversation here, guys. 35.9 million. That's the number of PlayStation 4 units sold. 19 million is the estimated number of Xbox One units sold. Microsoft doesn't release numbers as regularly as Sony does, so that's an estimate, but that should be pretty accurate. So here's a number I want to give you in reference to that, and that number is 7.4 billion. Can you tell me what that number is in reference to?
Software?
It is not. Think platform. And it's not directly, but it's peripherally related to it.
The Wii? The Wii system?
7.4 billion. Just think about that for a sec. Billion.
Number of people that have played a Nintendo console.
That is the approximate population of Earth.
Oh.
Can you guess why I might have brought up the world population? Because late last year, we officially passed the threshold where there are more mobile phones on the planet than there are people.
Holy cow.
We've officially passed that line now. So, how do mobile phones come into the equation? How do you see gaming continue to change or be changed by the mobile phone market?
It's with you everywhere you go. Your cell phone is your life source. It's your source of everything, is it not? I mean, everyone has one. It does everything for everyone. So, if you
again, I think I point to more rumors of this magical device, possibly known as the Nintendo NX, where if there is a mobile component to it, then that just strengthens the allure to those games and what you can do with that. I mean, I don't think it's any coincidence that Nintendo just released their first smartphone app. So imagine you actually having a, it's funny, Jay, that you picked on Nintendo's online experience, but they could literally change that around if they come up with an awesome smartphone app kind of environment that speaks so well to what that game experience is. Almost like the way that a PS Vita speaks to a PlayStation TV, right? So you can play it on your big screen.
Yeah.
That's the one thing we've always said that Nintendo's been missing. Let me play my 3DS and DS games on the big screen.
Yeah, and dude, getting back to the friend code thing, I mean, Lord knows I love Nintendo. We all love Nintendo. That is such... It's just a ridiculous way to connect with your buddies. Like a 30,000 character code, like...
It's equivalent to remember those passwords.
Yeah,
for
it's
those
like,
NES
am I playing
games. Like a Metroid password,
or Metal
right?
Gear? Yeah, it's just.
What's your Metroid password? I want to play Splatoon with you.
Yeah, it's like, come on, man. Let me just hit a button, add you, or put in your gamer tag or your PSN ID or whatever. Yeah. I don't know.
So imagine how that population and those devices could piggyback in push that console experience even further.
So you know how I'm thinking now is, as the years go on, I'm leaning more towards developers and titles as opposed to like different pieces of hardware. Like as the hardware goes on, I don't care as much. It's like, okay, is the new Resident Evil, when's that coming out? And I don't care.
So you're playing the age card again.
What I think is actually really interesting about mobile software development is you do have the multiple operating systems, and obviously the two primary ones are Android and iOS, right? But beyond that, you don't have those manufacturer restrictions, right? So if I'm going to play a game and it's for Android, they don't care whether or not I'm using a Samsung phone or an HTC phone or any other Android device, right? So beyond just that kind of Android and iOS split, they really are kind of getting beyond the manufacturer sort of restrictions.
Yeah, but
if that makes any sense.
Again, I'll throw the monkey wrench into the mix. It's the gameplay of the phone. How are you going to get around that? If Nintendo's going to release a great like Nintendo style controller for your phone, okay, that's cool. But I don't.
How do you hold a phone and a controller and get it to stick?
Like. I know what, or
you're holding up. Jay's holding up his phone like a controller.
Yeah, just like have the
landscape
controller
style.
and then you're holding the controller now, and then the phone is the screen kind of thing, almost like a DS. If you do something like that, cool. But I'm not gonna play like Mario Brothers on a touch screen because
I don't think you'd play Mario Brothers as it is now on a touch screen.
Well, how do you play it then?
Well, I guess that's the question, right? Like, how might we see that platform change the way we play those games? And in that respect, I guess think about the 3DS and some of the ways they tried to introduce that into the way the gameplay changed.
Yeah, again, I'm all up for the cell phone thing. I'd even buy an attachment to stick my iPhone on and then just play with that. That's cool, but...
So here's the thing I'll throw at you, Glenn. Like you said, there's only really two environments, right? iOS and Android. Well, it was 30 years ago that there was really only NES and then Sega. And then all of a sudden, all these other people started emerging in the market. So I think as long as there's always a giant market share, when you're talking more than the population of Earth, you will always have someone tempted to do something new and take a part of that market.
I'll disagree with that. You're talking about a time.
Yeah, why would anybody want a piece of the cell phone market by introducing another OS?
You were talking about a time when these companies were relatively small compared to what they are now. You're a company and you're going to go against Microsoft or Sony. It's very different than in the 80s when you went up against Nintendo or Sega.
You mean Sony, an electronics manufacturer, is going to try to make video games? That'll never work. You mean Microsoft, who makes PCs, will try to make a video game system? That'll never work. Nintendo's the king of that. That's impossible. We could never see another global conglomerate come out of nowhere and make a phone that has billions of dollars and doesn't care if they lose.
Well, I'd like to see it. Whoever's got the money. No one has the balls to step up. That's the problem. That's why there will always be Microsoft
Disney
and
could
Sony.
make a phone, for example, right? Disney could easily make a phone.
Yeah, but they're not a game company. I don't give a
Either was Sony or Microsoft.
And I don't give a about them either. That's why.
But they're the leaders in the industry right now.
Exactly. Yes, they are. Unfortunately, they are, and it's a very different world.
So I win.
That was ominous, guys. When I was doing research for this outline, I got a lot of these numbers from the Electronic Software Association. Does like a yearly report where they kind of do like a yearly report on the past year's sort of gaming numbers. So I just wanted to give a shout out to that because I got a lot of these really interesting statistics from there. So I'm going to ask you guys to try and give me a number now.
3.
Wait for it.
Okay.
What do you think is the average age of the male gamer?
34.
Jay?
Oh, that's a good one. 37.
You guys are both really close. 35. Oh. By Price is Right rules, Rob wins because he was the closest without going over.
I like.
He wins both showcases.
Price is Right.
Why does he win both? He didn't give up the first one.
Because I was within $100 of my bid.
Get the hell out.
Anybody care to throw out the average age of the female gamer?
34.
25.
Actually, 43.
Jay, you pig.
What?
I don't know why I said that. I just felt like the right thing to say.
What do you guys think about that information? Like, what does that tell you about gaming if the average age of a male gamer is 35 years old?
Well, it's
that they're essentially the same generation as us,
it's
right?
the dudes who've grown up from the beginning playing everything, right?
So here's another interesting question I want to ask you then. They also had the number that was the average number of years gamers have been gaming. So in light of the answers you guys just gave me, what do you think is the answer to that question?
Okay, so let me get this
This
straight.
is a hard one, right? Jay's gonna have a qualifier, just like I'm gonna have a qualifier.
Yeah, like
Go
okay,
ahead.
so let me get the rules straight. So the number of years they've been gaming, so from the day they started till now.
Yeah. This is the
And I want
number
to know
of years they've been
how
gaming.
many. I want to know how many hours or what the qualifications of gaming is.
I'll just guess.
All I'll tell you is that I just have this number, which is number of years they have been gaming.
Okay, do you want to go or do you want me to go?
I'm just gonna say 9.
Average number of years.
Okay,
gonna say
then I'm
9.
gonna say $1. I'm gonna say 10.
It is actually 13.
We're not that far off.
Do you think that number's kind of strange in light of what we just talked about in terms of ages?
No, because I think it's right around the PS2 launch, right? And that's when you see stuff like DVDs becoming mainstream in that all-in-one, let's get a console that does all these other things come into our living room. And when you're talking about guys like us and our age, it's when we're in college and when we're just getting our first jobs and we actually have some real disposable money to actually afford these wonderful new units that do take that technological leap forward in what they can present.
Here's the thing, though. So we're all in our mid to late 30s. So being kind. We've all been playing for more than 13 years.
Easy shuffle the deck, Bartlett. Shuffle that deck.
We've all been playing for more than 13 years. So you don't find it strange that the average age of the gamers is so close to ours, but...
Well, people, I don't want to say grow up, but I mean they have families, they have children, blah blah blah, and they just stopped doing it. So I don't think it's weird, no.
I also think, you look at when like cell phones came into popularity, probably about 13 years ago, and games on cell phones became a thing. So people were probably playing more games more consistently versus 1 or 2 titles a year. I mean, I like Jay was saying, things change in people's lives. There's a big chunk of gaming that I missed because of school, and I can see why it would be so easy for people not to jump back into something that is maybe too expensive, too much time.
And I will say, working at a video game retailer, that I see on a day-to-day basis guys that have been gaming for a long time rapidly losing interest because they pick up The Division, they pick up Destiny, they pick up whatever game, and it's online by yourself only, online by yourself only. Hey, is there any kind of game that me and my buddy could play together? And I'm kind of like, no, not that many. So I see people losing interest as well as the.
Jay, you've been peeking at my notes.
Oh,
so here's the next set of numbers I want to ask you guys about. So this ESA report had the average number of hours that gamers who both identify as frequent gamers and who play with other people play against other people online each week. Average number of hours each week.
Okay, so the average number that they play against people online. 10.
Rob?
I'm going to say 11.
It's actually 6.5.
$1.
I was going to say 5, but I didn't want to be over it. I wanted to beat you.
Now, here's the follow-up question to that. Is these same gamers, how many hours did they report weekly that they played games with people offline? 6.5 is the average number of hours online weekly. What's the average number of hours offline?
You go first, Zob.
30 minutes.
I'm going to say 3 hours.
Okay, you ready for this answer? I think this is really going to surprise you. 5 hours.
Oh, wow.
That's a difference in
That
90
does
minutes.
surprise me.
Wow.
Oh, man, what a good question. So,
Talk about that
are
for
you-
a second,
are you
because
saying
we have been talking on the show for like 2 years now about how we feel like couch co-op and those environments of playing games with other people in the home are getting lost, but these gamers are telling us that's not really the case. It's almost exactly the
So
same
what are
number
they
of hours.
playing?
Yeah, so
Old school
let me
stuff,
ask you
or-
this, and I just want some clarification. So you're saying 6 hours online, 5 hours offline, so that's 11 hours in total per week?
Yeah.
Okay. So Jay and I were right because I was interpreting it as how many hours per week they're playing. So we said 10 and 11. I didn't realize that we were making.
Yeah,
a
the
single
first one
word
was like
until the second
so. Just to kind of try and clarify one more time, this is like people who
You're right too, Jay. You're right.
people
too.
who identified themselves as frequent gamers and who played games with other people said that on average they spent 6.5 hours playing other people online, and on average they spent 5 hours playing with people offline on a weekly basis.
I think that's great. I think that's great, and I would have the same questions as Jay. And clearly, we are missing something. I don't know. I know Retro City Games. They host, I think, at least a weekly tournament where people come down for 3 or 4 hours, right? So if you were to spend like an hour, like a one day, one afternoon a week doing something like Pokken Tournament or Smash, then you'd get your 5 hours in, I imagine. And that also makes me feel a lot better hearing those numbers. Now I don't feel like I'm slacking when I do play like 6 hours a week or 4 hours a week. I feel like, hey, I'm playing 40% of the average consensus of a gamer. How do you feel about those numbers, Jay? There's almost as much offline as there is online.
Now that's current gen stuff, or is that also taking?
This is from last year.
So just last year.
I don't have anything beyond that, so I couldn't tell you if those people are playing those
It's
games
just-
on an NES or what. I doubt it.
Yeah.
But
Okay, well,
those are numbers from last year.
I think it's fantastic. I think it's awesome. Yeah, I mean,
Is that a little surprising to you?
Yeah. Oh, absolutely.
Very surprising to me.
Yeah, for sure.
I know it was a little surprising to me.
Yeah, like, well, I said 30 minutes because I figured maybe somebody passed by somebody else in a store and said, hey, let me play that.
Somebody walked
And
by
then, like,
them
you
while
for,
they
like,
were on the
30
demo unit, and he began.
Hey, you know what?
Yeah, they're like, hey, give me that, you scumbag.
I will say it's good.
There's an argument in a half hour.
It's good to know that human beings still like to stay in contact with each other, so I'm happy for that.
And I think that also takes into consideration things like households where there's families, right? So you've got mom or dad playing games with their kids, or potentially each other,
or brothers and sisters,
exactly,
together,
like siblings
or
playing
college
each other,
kids together.
Yeah, exactly, right. So, maybe people play, they play Call of Duty against each other online most of the week, but maybe they get together on weekends and they have a few rounds of Street Fighter.
I'm curious if that is like the same though as like two people that are playing like a DS in the same room as one another, but not playing with each other, but in the same area. So like,
Well, that's the thing
you
too,
know?
because I think about our house, and we have 2 Xbox Ones in our house, right? And Maya plays on one, and I play on the other. But we do play together a lot of the time, and it's like stuff like The Division and Destiny, where it's online and we can't play on the same console. But we're still playing together.
I count that as couch co-op because it's the same game and you're in the same.
Like we can and we do actually still shout at each other up and down stairs and stuff, right?
I would call that LAN. That's like old school Halo for me.
Yeah, that's kind of the way I look at it too.
Yeah.
All right, guys. So before we move on to Patreon, because we're getting to be that time, I got one more number I want to throw at you, and that number is
666.
18.
I swear she was at least 18.
I should have saw that coming.
That's my line.
So the number is 18, and this is in reference to a long-running franchise which is going to see a release this year, which is
Metroid.
probably one of the most anticipated games of the year.
Zelda.
You got it.
Yeah.
That's the number of Zelda titles
sure
that have been
It's
released.
not Metroid Freedom Force Fusion.
I'm positive.
Okay, now I'm going to be hipster here.
Yeah, you are going to be a hipster, and before you get hipster, I'm going to say this.
Are you counting the 3?
I am not counting the CDI games.
Okay, well then get the hell out of here.
I'm not counting the remakes of Wind Waker and Twilight Princess. I am counting the Game Boy Advance remake of Link to the Past because it had 4 swords included with it, and that's essentially a different game.
May I ask you, where is the map? Why are you not including the CDI games when they are licensed by Nintendo? I'm just curious.
Nobody cares about the CDI game.
No, that's not a relative argument. I'm just wondering why.
Getting off track here, Jay.
Jay, when you see the trailer for box art for Kickstarter, you may presently surprise and wonder what Ganon's up to.
Oh, I wonder what Ganon's up to.
On the topic of Zelda, guys, Rob, I know you're not a Zelda fan.
As I stare at my hoodie.
What does the new Zelda game need to do to make its mark? Like, is it enough for it to be more Zelda, or does it have to do something different?
That's a good question because that's something I've been pondering. What does Zelda have to offer me in order for me to pick it up and want to play it? Oh man, what a good question.
That's more for
the regular version.
That's more for you than me.
So you're gonna buy it regardless?
Nope. there is one key factor. Can anyone guess what it is?
Motion controls. Lack of motion controls
That's
will
right.
get you to buy it.
Yeah, if there's no motion controls, I'm 100% in. If I have to wave the damn wand or whatever I have to do, I am out.
That could really depend on what console it shows up to, I suppose.
Why can't they remake Wand of Gamelon and let
It'll
you
be
use
their
the
last
wand?
release on the Wii U, just like Twilight Princess was on the Wii.
I wonder what Ganon's
Oh
up
wait,
to.
sorry. Twilight Princess was on the GameCube. I apologize.
I wonder if Ganon has spare batteries.
No.
Why did you not
For your
count
magic wand.
the CDI games?
So, Rob, what's it going to take to make you care about a Zelda game?
No water temple.
That'll be a start. We know one's in there, so I'm probably not gonna buy it. Zoo. I don't know. It's I really don't know. I don't want more of the same, and yet I say that without having played Wind Waker, despite owning it, and I haven't played Skyward Sword. But I feel like every Zelda, you're playing a Zelda game, so I want something that's different and just unique.
How about this? What if I spin you an open world, an open world Zelda? And I know that they're all open world, but I mean open world in the
Like a
in the
sandbox.
respect that you can go to any temple in any order, save for of course the last one or whatever. But you can do any temple in any order. Would you like that?
I don't want GTA Zelda. That's going to take me 100 hours to complete.
I think that's what you're gonna get.
So let me throw this out here as an extra comment on it. I was reading an article on, I think it was Forbes this past week. Forbes actually has a surprisingly good video game.
I'm
section.
noticing that out of nowhere too.
Yeah, they've got like a guy who does all kinds of Destiny articles and stuff. But anyway, Forbes actually has some really good video game content, which is a little bit surprising to me. But
It actually feels journalistic compared to Polygon and Kotaku, which is clickbait.
They did a piece on the new Zelda game, and kind of the crux of this new piece was Anuma talking about the new Zelda title and how it was going to take a lot more influence from Western games as opposed to past games in the series, and just kind of everybody started trying to interpret exactly what that meant.
Skyrim. First, that's the
So
first
do
thing
you
that
think
comes
that's a
to mind.
good thing? Like, do you think we're overdue to see a Zelda game that maybe takes some different design choices from somewhere else? And if you look to A Link Between Worlds on the DS a couple of years ago, you did actually see some changes to the Zelda formula, right? So you still had dungeons and that sort of thing, but for example, you could get any weapon you wanted in the game at any time, provided you had the money, because they had a rental shop, right? So you didn't even have to buy the weapon. You could go in and pay money to get it and rent it, and you'd have it until you died.
Yeah, I mean, I'd be up for something like that. Something that maybe takes other cues from other series. I mean, the idea of a Final Fantasy-esque or JRPG-esque Zelda would be great. I mean, I tried to get back into the Zelda world with the worst possible title, and that's Hyrule Warriors.
I was gonna say
And
we
it-
got that last year, yeah.
and that was disappointing. But I mean, again, that was a different Zelda experience, and I'm all up for these different iterations, right? Like, I don't mind people doing it. I don't have to love it, but I'll try it. I haven't played Triforce Heroes. To me, that seems like a mini kind of dungeon crawler, which is great for what it is, but kind of like the Final Fantasy one as well. Dungeon Explorer, I think it is. So, yeah, give me something that's maybe just a different tone. That'd be great.
I could go without the white text for like 30.
So for Jay to get the next Zelda, the text has to be a different.
No, I just say I'd like some speech. It is 2016.
Like the endless text windows and you just hitting A through all of them.
Yes, I'm so tired of it. And I would like Link to talk for once. But actually, there were 3 titles he talked in, Glenn, for CDI.
Yeah, but they don't count.
Why do they count? This is sick.
Well, that'll do it for the regular section of the episode. We hope that you're going to stick with us, and you can check out all the additional content that we'll be talking about this week just by going to patreon.com/GamerCast, where every week you get about 15 to 20 minutes extra, plus a bunch of first opportunities, like a chance to, I don't know, maybe check out our adventure that's coming up in Vegas first ahead of everybody else. I think that would be pretty cool. And if you want to sponsor that, come drop us a line as well. So just message us on our GamerCast Facebook page, facebook.com/GamerCastNation. Oh, and because we're very close to getting the ball really rolling with the game, we'd love to hear some thoughts for games that you should find. And what I mean is, of course, our game is about game collecting, and we need titles. So come up with a game title that's 16 characters or less, and spaces count as a character, and we will consider it for inclusion in the game about game collecting. It could be anything. It could be Super Plumber Brothers. It could be Mike's Animal Quest, as long as it's 16 characters or less. It could be Stan Buck, Pytober.
Is Super Plumber Brothers less than 16 characters?
I don't know. It could be like SPR.
Bumper Stumpo!
Yeah. So, we'll check that out. So from myself, Rob McCallum, hey-oh, Macaloo, and Glenn Stanbuck producing, pie eating, and bacon cutting, put a pickle and mayo on his tongue and call him Ginger Stain.
Ladies and gentlemen, Stan Buck signing off.
And Jay Solo Hamstrung Battle Damage 40-year-old.
The map to Skywalker.
We'll see you later. Bye. Near and far. Near and far. Can we play near and far in the desert? Glenn, you start. Go far.